Swadika Ajarn. So I'm going to be talking about difficulty of investment in Thailand due to corruption in the bureaucracy. So I'm going to be focusing on hotel and resorts. Key points to cover: problems of existing law under Hotel Act 2004, and then Section 32. I'm also going to be giving sample that my dad actually experienced, and then current news, Malaysian policy as another example, and then solution, which is one-stop service. So let's look at the definition of hotel first. A hotel is defined under the Hotel Act 2004 as any business providing paid accommodation for less than a month, irrespectively of the number or capacity of the rooms. Even the smallest villa and a one-bedroom condominium unit can qualify as hotel under the law. However, the Hotel Act legitimizes ministerial regulations to regulate this otherwise. Section 5 states that illegal hoteliers are subject to a jail sentence for up to 1 year and a fine up to 20,000 Thai baht. They can also be fined 10,000 Thai baht daily if they continue to run their business illegally. As a foreigner, the penalty might come in a combination with a blacklisting. So I am going to be focusing on building certification, which is all hope. There is actually another one which is called all one or all new, but I find that all hope is more important. So all hope is a post-construction procedure. After the construction is completed, the project owner of a controlled building must notify the authority to inspect the building for the insurance of a building certification. Section 32 of the BCA. Controlled buildings are, for example, condominium, commercial building, educational building, and etc. The application and inspection process takes maximum 30 days. Section 32 says that the building was used for the following activities are considered to be the building for business, so warehouse, theater or hospital, and commercial, industrial, education, health or other activities as specified in the regulations. Therefore, when you have completed the construction of the hotel or resort, you need to notify the operation of the building by asking for a building certification called OHO. So this is how the certificate looks like. The application procedure are: number 1, application for the construction license at the district office, which is signed off, should be requested by engineer or architect. This takes 5 working days. Number 2, application at the provincial office takes 10 working days, which will transfer the application to the health, environmental, and construction. Number 3, authorities who will each have to inspect and approve the building, 90 working days. Issuance of the license, 50 to 30 working days. So approximately this takes around 6 months. So I would like to give an example of my dad. Actually, my dad owns a resort in Chiang Mai. In order to either build or run the business, he had to ask for this certification. However, it took him around 2 years to obtain the certificate, and the authorities didn't really give him the reason why it took so long, because it states that it approximately takes around 6 months. So my dad suspected that there was kind of unethical behavior going on, and that is why it took really long time to get the certificate, because otherwise he couldn't really run the resort because it would be illegal From my experience, the problem of corruption in bureaucracy is really a big issue because it does not only affect domestic investor, but it also affect foreign investors as well, which is what I'm going to be talking about in the next few seconds. There was news regarding the slow process of obtaining license, and the new has to do with the 5 ambassadors, which are British, German, Japanese, Australian, and American. These 5 ambassadors actually suggest 10 steps for Thailand to crack up the top 10 in the World Bank's Global Ease of Doing Business Index. So, in the eyes of foreign investors, Thailand is actually a very appealing place to invest. However, because of the slow procedure, it makes Thailand less attractive towards foreign investors. And these 10 steps I find to be very helpful for Thailand, and it is something that government should really consider, because in order for Thailand to develop much further, the problem of corruption has to be seriously tackled. So there are 2 steps that I find to be essential. The first one is follow through with the simple and smart license. Implement the simple and smart license to eliminate redundant laws and regulations. Another one is prioritize transparency. Work transparently with investors to reduce disputes within current contracts and agreements. So next, I would like to talk about Malaysian policy. I find that this policy is actually effective because it was able to really help improving Langkawi. Malaysian one-stop service was implemented when Mahathir was Prime Minister of Malaysia. So Mahathir wanted to improve Langkawi as fast as possible, so he created one-stop service to ease the procedure of obtaining business license. This is called Center on Investment, which helps facilitating investors. Relevant agency involved in the processing of license and permits were either housed under one roof or the activities coordinated by the COI, thereby reducing the time taken by potential investor in obtaining the approvals for their business. So essentially, they work together almost at the same time. Currently, there are 9 COIs throughout Malaysia, either at the State Economic Planning Units or the State Economic Development Corporation. MIDA provides the coordinating function at the federal level. This integrated approach has increased the capacity of the relevant authorities to process a larger volume of applications within a shorter time, within 2 months only from the date of application. So here is the solution that I would like to recommend, which is to launch one-stop license policy, which is similar to Malaysia one. These are the steps: organizing a room in each province city hall, all in region at their states as the states considers appropriate. So it doesn't have to be in every provinces, because then provide one table for each relevant agency in authorizing the construction license. So essentially, this is similar to the Malaysian one. So what they do is that there's a table for one agency, and the applicant essentially hands in the documents, and then one agency looks at the documents and consider either it is against any law. That agency then pass the documents on to another agency, for example, health agency, and then environmental agency. So if there are missing documents, the one-stop center has to inform the applicant within 2 to 3 weeks. The authorities has to finalize the decision within 3 months. If the license is not approved, the authorities must clarify the reason and issues arising from the business. But in the case of my dad, they did not really clarify what the reason is. So I think putting this in the law is highly essential. So in addition to section 32, I think this part is really important to add, which is if the authorities fail to deliver the answer within the specified time, the applicant has the right to ask for the court ruling. If the administrative court sees that such failure arises from unethical behavior, for example bribery, the court can overrule and take the authority in approving license by the court herself. The authorities who committed such unethical practices shall be punished by the law, and the whole procedure shall be investigated. So that is all for my topic, which is the corruption in the bureaucracy. And I think that if we are able to really tackle this problem, Thailand can develop much faster and catch up with other countries in Asia, for example Japan or Singapore. That is all, and thank you for listening.